Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Uncut and Unfiltered. Today, we are at Lagg Distillery on Arran. And I have to say, for once, I am going to sit back, shut up, and listen because I am here with three Arran fanatics, but also two of the main people behind Lagg. So, you know Jack Toy, our good friend who actually did an Arran episode before. We'll put the link in the description if you haven't seen it. But we are very, very privileged to be joined by Graham, the distillery manager here, but also by Fred. Now, Fred, you are the brand home ambassador, but also the lead tour guide here at Lagg. Yeah, so, I mean, when it comes to talking all things Lagg, you're pretty well versed. Is that fair to say?
I'd like to think so.
Okay, good man yourself. Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be able to lead me through. Like I say, normally I'm the one who's chatting loads of shite, but I feel like today I'm going to learn a lot. We have got a few different drams in front of us. I think we're going to start with the Kilmorey, which is kind of your first core range edition. Is that right, Graham?
That's correct, James.
Yeah, cool. Are you happy for me to pour a wee dram?
Fire away, sir.
Everybody pop their glasses in. Let me pour a dram for everybody. And this is a bourbon matured. Oh, God, pouring it everywhere. I tell you what, Fred, why don't you do it? You do it. Already messing it up. Haven't even begun. This is the first core range product. It is entirely bourbon matured out at 46%. And we're looking at kind of 3, maybe 4-year-old whiskey here, but relatively young. What I love about Lagg whiskey, and we're going to actually come on to the Cleric a little bit later on. What I love about it is it's such a great liquid when it's young. I mean, was it always your intention to be putting out young whiskey, or is this kind of a bit of a happy coincidence, Graham?
I don't want to be seen as like the mastermind to everything who had a 100-year plan.
You can pretend to be. We'll believe you. Don't worry.
Just seen my laboratory was full of these things. No, it was when I was given the opportunity to start Lagg, I was basically almost given carte blanche, right? Say, go make a spirit. Say, well, just design us something that people will like. Say, well, James will help you. You know, James Tiger from Loch Rann, he was manager of Loch Rann at the time, so he was kind of like in my back pocket to help me. So like, okay, so we started with we'll do what Loch Rann does, and we started with that, and then we just kind of went all over the place from there with cuts and strengths and speeds. Spent 2 whole weeks just as a madman with my head inside the safe, just with bottles, just seeing what we can do, threw things together, and at the end of it, James and I sat down, tried a lot of these drams, tried a lot of these spirits. And we came across this spirit, which is now the Lagg spirits. We both drunk, and the first thing that amazed us when we had it was like, you know what, as a new make spirit, this is fantastic. It stands on its own. And if we can get that base right, and the casks are just the cask maturation is just a positive. So that kind of became the enshrined spirit of Lagg.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's really, really interesting. And it's, you know, whilst I don't think I would ever be brave enough to set up my own distillery, you know, I'm still very much at the foot of the mountain, I feel, with all things whiskey, constantly learning. If I were ever to design my own stills, they would be very similar to the stills that you have here. I love the short, dumpy stills.
Do you make a peated whiskey?
I love peated whiskey. I think I'd like to do maybe a little bit of both, but I love short, dumpy stills, and I love peated spirit. Just that rich, oily, quite robust liquid that works so well in a myriad of different cask types. And we'll come on to the different cask types that you use as we go through this. But I mean, it's really wonderful to see how such a young distillery just sings so well. As I've said before, time and time again, particularly with Lagg, but with other distilleries as well. It's great to see it work. Sometimes, unfortunately, you get a lot of distilleries who are young that are trying to cash in on the whiskey boom, I feel. Their liquid is not ready. They're getting it out at 3 years and a day just for the sake of having something on the shelves. And I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot. You know, I really think the long-term wise brand sort of reputation is just going downhill from the get-go. You look at the likes of Daft Mill, you know, proper farm distillery, everything's from sort of farm to bottle, and they waited well, and it paid off. And I kind of feel like most of the time, whilst that's a very expensive endeavor, if you can't afford to do it, you know, don't do it. It's like if you're going to do something, do it right. But with Lagg, it works so perfectly at this young age. So I feel like you have done it right. You've done it such justice. And what's going to be great over the coming years, I mean, you're only 5 years into distillation now, is seeing how that grows and where it comes out. I mean, do you guys think that there's a sweet spot in mind where you're going to hit a real sort of gem of an expression?
I love how you just looked at me there. It feels almost like we're kind of fumbling in the dark because it's very difficult to understand, but there's nothing quite like Lagg out there, which I've found. And when I was with Lagg I had a point of reference. It's because I used to do warehouse tours and stuff like that for VIPs in Lagg, and I used to have all these people ask me, "Oh, this is my 7-year-old sherry." They throw it in my face. "What do you think?" I was like, I try it. It's lovely, very good drink. You bought it now, and in my mind, I'm like, "Well, I've tried the 12-year-old. I've tried this, and I always have something going. Well, if you want to do this, this, and this, it will taste like this." Whereas now, I get people asking me, "These are my 4.5-year-old bourbon." It's like, I've only tried something 6 months older than this. I can't really tell you if it was like 10 years time or not.
For sure.
So I like to think, I like to think that we're all learning together. Myself, the single cask owners, everyone who works the distillery, we're learning as Lagg is evolving. Because the spirit is evolving. Every year we go back to a 2019 cask, have a try of it and think, it has changed slightly in the last year.
Yeah.
It does keep changing. And I'll come back to you in a few years' time once I get a bit of reference point.
Fair enough. No, look, come on, hold to it.
It is the great unknown, I think. It is all new to us. And I know you may disagree with me, Graham, or not, but I think as great as Lagg is now, at that 3, 4, 5 mark, we're not just here to make a young whiskey. There will be 10 plus Lagranza hitting 30 soon. So I just can't wait to see what happens with that. So what is the difference between a young Lagg, like a really old Lagg, especially with that peated whiskey, when the phenols start to just
dissipate?
You look at some other Isle whiskies, you get a nice 10-year-old and you compare it to the 2030. They're very different animals. And I'm just excited to see what the journey is with Lagg for that. It is, patience, which I don't have.
Absolutely. Oh God, listen, you're speaking to the exactly the right man, preaching to the choir here. I feel like whiskey is such a patient person's game. And sometimes I have none of it. You just want to know exactly what's around.
But that being said, it is 5 years already. And that has just felt like that.
Blink of an eye.
It has.
5 years on the 19th of March, when the first part of the still went through. Be 5 years on the 10th of April. 5 years on the 10th of April for the very first casking. So we've 5 years ago today, we had spirit made, but it was just sitting in the big tank. It wasn't actually a cask yet.
Okay.
It took us a long time before we actually did that final point, making sure everything was working and nothing was leaking.
For sure.
Just put the arm in, just about. It works.
Yeah.
A cask of spirit.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. And we were lucky enough actually to see Cask #1 earlier, which is phenomenal. Guys, by the time this goes live, maybe or maybe not, over at the Whisky Baron, you'll be able to see a great tour of Lagg Distillery with Graham. Jack, obviously you have been an Arran or a Lagranza geek for many, many years now. How has Lagg come into fold for you? Is it something that you're just as passionate about? Are you Lagranza through and through? What's your thoughts and feelings there? It's a very different style spirit.
You can love both children. If you've got 2 children, you can love them equally, as the analogy. No, I think it's a real privilege for us kind of fans of Isle of Arran distillers to have both this unpeated spirit from one distillery at the north and then Lagg heavily peated down the south. You've got me thinking right now, actually. We were in Lagranza yesterday. We saw a lot of casks laid down by Gordon Mitchell. He's there from the first kind of decade and a bit. You're here from the start. Do you think about that kind of weight of history that in like 15, 20 years' time, it's going to be all of the Grey and Omand casks that the future me, whoever comes after me, is like fanboying about? There's a lot of weight of history there, isn't there?
I just hope my legacy is that he didn't ruin it too badly. Someone else.
Listen,
he did okay.
I think what we're trying at the moment, I think you're going to be okay, Graham. Don't worry. For me, it's really interesting. I think I'm so impressed, and we'll come on to the new make. Your new make, I believe, is one of the, if not the best new make. And I'm actually going to grab a bottle down in the shop. We're going to do an episode of Uncut and Unfiltered all about Cleric, and we're going to see who's the best. I think yours is well in the running. It's phenomenal stuff. I'm really, really impressed. But I think the Lagg is going to hit a real special spot at about 6, 7 years old, which is exciting because it's, we talk about patience. It's not too long.
Not too long.
So we'll be able to see how much growth there is in the next few years and if I'm onto something there. That's personally what I believe. And as I was saying to yourself earlier there, Graham, I'm a massive fan. I mean, I'm a massive fan of this spirit in a variety of casks, because it is such a robust and, as I say, oily spirit that does take on all different types of cask maturation. I'm really excited to start seeing the wine casks, particularly the Bordeaux, the Burgundy, getting in there. It's one of my favorite styles of whiskey. And I think that that's something that will really make this sing from the hilltops. So yeah, you've got a serious fanboy for any of those sorts of releases here.
I was meaning to tell you, we got a very large batch of first fill coat roties a few years ago. But there was a funny story with them. There was during lockdown, it was very difficult to get all the bourbon barrels. There was a slight slot, like where we were missing a few hundred barrels, and we were going to hit that wall. Say, oh no, we may have to shut down production. And we were able to get a hold of a French distributor who happened to have a few hundred beautiful, deliciously red coat roties, perfect for finishes. And we just fire spirit in them.
Do it, absolutely.
And we're thinking maybe we should take the spirit out and put it into bourbons. But you know what? No, let's just leave.
We're going to leave them. Okay.
Maybe we don't know yet. It's not whiskey yet. We were going to have a nice week kind of trial of them at the festival, I believe. And
Yes,
that's probably going to first see the light of day, and people will be like, "Can you add some whiskey to your red wine, please?"
You'll get a try, Jack. You're on the tasting with us.
Oh, I can't wait.
So you'll be one of the first people to try these infamous coat roties, first fills. Probably is red as blood, but I'm sure they'll be delicious.
Absolutely, lots to look forward to there. God, absolutely. And Jack, sorry, so you are one of the owners of one of the phenomenal casks. What's the membership that you've got there?
The Cask Owners Society.
Cask Owners Society. Now that comes with quite a few privileges, and as an Arran geek, you must be very excited about that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you started off them back in 2019. The first 700 casks can go to Cask Owners Society members. It was $6,000 a cask. I mean, that's a lot of money back then. It still is a lot of money for a lot of people. But I thought, well, it's not $6,000 just for here now for this month. It's going to be, in my case, 20, 30 years. I'm just going to leave mine in there. A lot of people, and myself included, have gone in consortiums of friends. And that's a great way to just kind of glue people together, isn't it? And like, it's almost like a kind of marriage in a barrel, isn't it? Like, we've got to be together through thick and thin for the next 10, 15 years till we decide what to do with this lovely barrel.
Absolutely.
I know on your tour you saw one of the big perks, which I thought was such a generous offer. Like, and you, by the way, as well as your own cask of 200 odd bottles, you get a bottle from cask number 1 from the distillery. I mean, that hasn't been done before, has it?
No.
I don't know any other distillery.
That's a great thing, though. I think it takes the pressure off a cask 1 as well, in a way. Because what do you do with a cask 1?
Yeah,
It's such a big thing.
for sure.
So just splitting out and sharing it seems
Cask ones
cool
just get
to me.
locked. They get locked in a vault behind a screen. You know what I mean? There's probably nothing left in it, but it's pretend there are. It's yours. There's Cask one. Don't touch it. Just don't breathe on it. It's there. But you know, ours will be enjoyed.
I hope I'm going to say that.
I have no doubt it definitely will be enjoyed.
First one, take off and do a tasting note on
We'll
it.
make Jack do it.
I think it will happen.
That's the still house.
Boy, that's just that. That's not an alarm. It's just the still house. The stillman has to go and check something in the computer.
We are uncut.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's two-tone to evacuate.
We're all good.
That's my standard.
Keep enjoying your whiskey.
That's my standard joke on a tour. I'm like, can you hear that? I'm not running away. We're fine.
Yeah, so that just shows that we're literally next door to the still house. This is just, we're all under one roof here. Vista Centre, distillery, all together.
Absolutely. It's such wonderful space. You know, I said it there before. The architecture, the thought that's gone into the layout of this whole space is phenomenal. And this is your tasting lab that we're in at the minute, which is just so cool. You got such wonderful stuff up on the walls. It's really, it gives such a feel of it all. And it, you know, we're here, we're all talking. I feel like this space really sparks conversation. We got some great whiskeys, great conversation going. But back to the society, I have to say it was a bit of a knife to the heart knowing that that's now completely closed off, especially looking at cask number 1. So everyone out there who's managed to get hold of one of those casks, I think you made the right decision. That's definitely paying off dividends already. There's lots of excitement around this distillery, and I think as it grows in age, you're only going to grow more and more of a following. So really interesting stuff. Have you got any plans for your cask, Jack?
Because I'm in this other consortium, Jetlag, with 14 mates, that equally takes the pressure off me with my one. So I think we might bottle it at 10. You never know. There's like a big age range of friends in that group. But for my one, I can't drink 220 bottles of my own whiskey. Like,
Just sit and wait.
I'm just going to leave it and see what happens. And maybe at 20 years old, maybe at 30 years old, who knows?
Draw a bottle out every year. just drink it slowly.
The angels share.
Yeah. You're not that much of an angel, mate.
But it's just nice to have it sitting there, isn't it? And it brings me back every year. We were talking earlier on, like people come and they kiss their cask. Yeah, it's weird, but you do it and you just can't help but like.
Have you signed yours?
I signed mine in 2022.
Yeah, the 2022 day when I saw it, we were doing there in this big Jack signature.
And then you think like, what's that going to look like in 10, 15 years? What's going to happen in the future?
When did you get into Arran Whisky? I don't know this. When did you get, like what year?
2011.
2011.
So
Okay.
good 13 years.
When I started, I met you the first year I was at Lagranza.
Yep.
Because I think that's one of the great things about Lagg and the Cask Society is obviously Lagranza, we've got the White Stags. So many of them have been there since the beginning.
Mm.
They've seen the whole evolution. They're now going to see 30 next year. I wasn't old enough for that. I was born the same year the distillery opened. But with Lagg, we can do this now. We're here from the get-go and we can just follow that whole journey. And I'm always jealous of the White Stags who've had that with Lagranza. They remember the 10, the 14, the 18, the 21. But now we can do it with Lagg.
Best one in the world,
on this side of it as well.
Gordon Mitchell wasn't doing podcasts back in 1996, though, was he? even James, a very a quiet, polite man. I think this is a great thing for like where whiskey's going right now, isn't it? Like
it's way more digital. Yes, you get way more interaction as well, I think. Yeah.
We can swear on this, can't we? I just feel really nervous.
You say whatever the fuck you want, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go away, no bothers. So speaking of, for everyone at home who unfortunately doesn't, or maybe you do have a dram of Lagg in your glass. And if you do, well done. Good choice.
Yeah.
What is it that you're drinking at home? Let us know in the comments. What do you, you must have such a passion for all the different casks, but going back to the core range must be quite an interesting one for you. Do you drink it on a regular basis, or is it not something that really would pass your lips all too often?
I've always got a bottle of Corey Cravey in the house, trust me.
I do not blame you. This is absolutely sensational. I have to say, the bourbon is a really wonderful stripped back, distillate shining. It's a beautiful expression from the distillery. And again, 46%. It's not been watered down just for the sake of, let's drive revenue, get more bottles on the shelves. It works so well at that strength. But this Corey Cravey is, it's everything and more.
Creaminess.
Cover your ears.
Actually, I haven't added any more.
Cover your ears. So I actually drink quite a lot of these, but I tend to use both of them as cocktails at home.
Fair play.
So Corey Cravey.
Is that a bit of a sin around here?
I like to say Graham's made cocktail whiskies.
Yeah,
they're so good at them.
That'll be my that'll be putting my tombstone. That making cocktail whiskies.
So Corey Cravey is a banging old fashioned with orange bitters. Get some brown sugar, some maple in there as well.
Yep.
And then Kilmorey whiskey sour.
I tell you what, I love that you have said this. That's really great to hear.
And I'm a big fan of whiskey cocktails.
At the distillery, Fred. I think that there's not enough said about a good whiskey cocktail. And look, we're all whiskey geeks here. We love a dram by itself. Some people out there may want to add water, as I've just done to this. I'm going to see how it opens up. Now that you said that creaminess comes out, I'm fascinated. Some people prefer it with ice, which obviously will mute some of the flavors, but that's fine. If that's how you like it, that's how you like it. But I personally think that enjoying whiskey with food and whiskey in cocktails is something that is not done enough. We have gin and tonics. We have every other spirit go into a cocktail like that. But sometimes there's
and why not use a good whiskey for your cocktail? Because you're still enjoying it. It's still that.
Exactly. I don't know why it's seen as such an irreverent thing to do. I think providing you're using a whiskey in a cocktail where the flavors are all complementary and it's leveling up, it's giving you a different experience, why the fuck not? It's it brings it around. It brings it full circle. It allows you to try something different.
Did you try that one we made the other day?
The plum one?
Yeah. So there's a shout out to the Gate in Glasgow. They came up with it.
Okay, cool.
It was Corey Cravey, plum infused sake, and PX sherry.
Oh,
amazing.
It's really good.
Naughty. Okay. And is that a short cocktail?
Yeah, it's old fashioned glass.
Yeah.
Big rock and block. It was banging.
Love it. Yeah. Okay, very cool.
Honestly, price point wise, if you think some people are paying 40, 50 quid for a bottle of gin, which can be neutral grain spirit with some botanicals chucked in, at the very least, the Kilmorey, 45 to 49 quid, that's 3-4-year-old well-made Scotch whiskey. I mean, it's an easy win, isn't it? Like, it's, I'd choose the whiskey.
£50, give or take.
Yeah.
Depends, yeah. A little bit less than that, yeah.
Very good quality. Oh, yeah, fair enough. You're absolutely right, Jack.
My mind was thinking with this, I've always loved the Arran 10, but I'm getting more and more into the Barrel Reserve. Once I found out it was 7 to 8 year old first fill bourbons at Lagranza.
Really underrated. The Barrel
it's underrated. I haven't been into it as much until recently, and I'm thinking, you probably saw in the intro, I kept going back and I was nosing. It's like, this is so good. This is like citrusy and summer's just around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's the style of kind of bourbon forward whiskey I love going to. And that's why I was so pleased when this came out and at the price point. And like,
it also makes a great highball. So last summer, that's pretty much all I was drinking out in the garden.
nice.
Like Kamori highballs.
Nice.
Just pints of it as well.
Did you have these big these big round balls, ice in it or anything like that?
No, not really.
Did Fred have nice big round balls?
In the garden.
In the garden. Okay, here we go.
That's still not better.
This is really exceptional. And again, what really hits me every time I'm drinking Lagg is that oily texture,
Yeah.
the coating of the mouth. You know, this is not leaving you. The finish lingers, and in beautiful different ways. Like you say, Jack, the Kilmorey is, you know, that bourbon, that vanilla, a little bit citrusy, grassy. This has got heaps sultanas and kind of marzipan, but then it's kind of quite astringent. It goes on and on and on and just leaves you wanting more. And at 55%, again, it's been done perfectly. I mean, how much water was added to this one, roughly? You're watering it down from what, 60%?
It would have been 60. It would have been 63 per 0.5 when it's filled. So the casks probably lost about 3%. So yeah,
give or take 60. Yeah,
5% down from.
Just really expertly done. And again, just goes to show the craftsmanship and the decision making going into this, all for quality, which to me is just a word that is, you know, synonymous with Lagg. It's quality through and through, everything I've tried. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here with you guys. Yeah, I know you haven't probably seen the podcast before at all, but as everyone knows at home, I'm very happy to be a little bit too honest, maybe at times brutal. I think it would be fair to say when I don't like something. So it really is. I'm so impressed with Lagg. It is one of those distilleries that I have been following now that I've come down here. I see why you're traveling here every year, multiple times a year. I might have to join you now. You've got a new buddy to share a boat ride with. Absolutely. And what's wonderful about that as well, Jack, and you kind of alluded to that a minute ago when you're talking about the Cask program and all the friends that you meet. Everywhere we've been the last few days, you've been bumping into friends, you've been saying hello to different people.
I saw you in the co-op the other day.
Mate,
It's
the cup
such a
had
wonderful
sorry, I interrupted the shop.
Yeah. But that's so lovely. And it reminds me of Isla. You know, we went over our first trip to Isla there a few years back now, quite a few years back now, actually. It was 2019, I think it was. The Isla wave. And as an Isla boy, you remember that.
I still do it, even in Arran. People stay at me as right.
I went home and I was doing it around London and people are like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But that's the beautiful thing about it. There's a real sense of community here. Everybody is kind of very open. It's a more laid back, slower pace of life. I love that feel. It's, you know, you arrive in on the boat, even before, to be honest. I mean, we had a bit of trouble getting over here on the boat, unfortunately. So a little bit more tense, but as soon as we arrived in, all of the stress of life just washed away. We're here now and we're here to relax. We're going to enjoy ourselves. It's going to be a grand old time. And I really am having the best time. I can see, yeah, it's no surprise you keep coming back.
That's good to hear. Can I ask a kind of mastermind provenance-y question?
This is why Jack's on the podcast here. Getting geeky. Let's go.
So it's sherry cask finish. Now, provenance-y wise, we all know there are lots of different sherry casks. Are you going in and are you picking out, there's a hogshead, there's a butt, there's a Palo Cortado. What's your mix? Are you always keeping it the same for this, or are you?
Those are definitely Hogshead Olorosos. I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
The Corrie Cravey will be a set Oloroso. We have got PXs in there,
Nice.
and that will be more to come later. Don't worry, Jack. You will get some of that. That'll probably be something that may even be shown at the festival for all I know. But the Corrie Cravey, we've decided to have that as the Oloroso. Oloroso always works so well with Lochranza. So give it its due. We'll keep that as that. But the PX and maybe Amontillado and so forth like that. Anything that we want to play around with maybe later on down the line will have their own label, their own piece. That fortunately we've got this small batch release window that we actually have.
That gives you that.
That gives me the opportunity to play around. I'm excited now. I'm phoning up the office and say, can I get some bloody tequila or mezcal cast finally? Some been screaming at them for 4 years for them. Now I've finally got an avenue to send this stuff out there. I can do that.
So what's the route that distillery managers and head office take to source casks? Are you always on the lookout for interesting things and you've got friends from like wineries around the world and other distilleries in America? Do you just get emails being like, Graham, I've got 200 amazing X casks?
That's how it works. Quite often it's our sales reps like Andy and
The Kaiser Andes.
Yeah, it's the Kaiser Andy's. I mean, just sometimes they're in another country. They could be some in America, could be in America, could be in Spain, could be in Portugal, and someone just says, "We've got 30 of these casks. If you're interested, phone up. Can we get these?" And they shipped right here immediately. Just sometimes that happens. Sometimes it's good fortune, but sometimes, like if you need like sauternes, if you need ports, you need Amaronis for your regular release. They're ordered well in advance, like a year in advance, prepared for us, shipped in time. But sometimes you get those real orders. The Koval casks, remember those quarter casks?
Yeah, there's a few.
They were a random oddity.
Just one in the other room.
Yeah, they came out of nowhere. That was just in someone's trip to America. Oh, we got a few hundred of these Koval quarter casks.
Okay.
Want them? It's like, well, because they weren't the usual quarter casks we use.
They're slightly smaller, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a different size. They're not
110 or something.
They're not the 125, which is the standard quarter cask. 100, yeah, they're 110, just over 100. But we just kind of fell into them as a fresh, and they ended up being a very popular part for they were used for the Macri Moor Fingles cut quarter casks.
Yeah.
And we think that added a little bit of a different flavour to as a quarter cask than what a normal quarter cask could do.
Okay, they were really good.
Yeah, they're very popular. Yeah.
We've got a wee table of one outside somewhere.
Yeah, they make banging wee tables. They're so lovely. They were some of the nicest casks I've ever seen.
So I imagine you both, I mean, you do bottling yourselves, or you both get a lot of joy from finding those special casks that are like unicorn casks or something that you weren't expecting in the next 4 weeks to suddenly turn up on your door.
I'm certainly not quite at the level, unfortunately. I'm looking forward to the problem coming around where I need hundreds of casks at a time. That'll be a nice problem to have, Graham. But absolutely, and exactly that. It's kind of, sometimes you're sourcing stuff a year or so in advance, and it's very much, these casks are going to be emptied in this month, and they'll be available, and they'll be shipped here, and whatever. But sometimes you just get that random oddity of, by the way, we got these. And exactly that, the joy of it's like, let's get to work. Let's make something special. Let's make something unique. You know, it's really, really exciting. And talking about something special and unique, I know that you've been very excited about this one, Jack, because you were off camera as Graham and I were chatting there away a minute ago. I've already tried this. It's sensational, not to spoil anything for you at home. This is a little cask sample from a Tokaji cask, which is Hungarian wine. This is a sweet Tokaji cask.
Yes.
All right, if we pour around.
What?
Jack,
Too good not to
I'm
share.
going to pass it to you first, because I think a fight might start if you're not the first man to get it in your glass. What's really interesting about this, again, you know, you don't really see or even hear about Tokaji casks. You know, I'm sure a lot of people at home probably haven't heard of what, you know, Tokaji is before.
We've done it a few times in the company.
Have you?
I think there's 3 Tokajis, well, thank you, which were all Hungarian exclusives.
Aye.
Again, that's Andy Bell, who's got us those casks and done it for us.
Phenomenal stuff. And I mean, this is the beautiful thing, you know, again, going back to the style of spirit that you are making, it's wonderful to be able to use such a variety of casks with confidence and with the knowledge that your spirit is going to be able to interact with those different woods in a really wonderful way. You know, it is such a robust spirit. It just works. In my opinion, I haven't tried anything yet that doesn't work. So I'm interested. I'm kind of, you know, there maybe is something out there, who's to say? But thus far, it's all really, really wonderful. And this Tokaji cask for me,
It's such a good nose, isn't it?
It's phenomenal.
So good.
I'm very interested to see. I'm going to be watching Jack now just to see his response, because this is the sort of thing. This is a distillery exclusive as well, Graham, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So unless you come down here, you're not going to get it. And to be honest, you better get down here quick, because Jack's here 4 times a year and he's probably going to buy it all up if I know.
So you're saying I need to come again before the festival in June?
Yes, you do. Before everyone else buys it, you can fill your boot up and drive away.
It smells amazing.
I'm sure we'll put one aside for you. I'm sure we could do that.
We tried a Amontillado finished Locranza in the tour the other day, but it was 5 years in bourbon, and then it wasn't even a full year in Amontillado, and it picked up this amazing note, which I'm getting here as well. That kind of like, it is that noble rot, funky, raisiny. Mm-hmm. It's delicious.
That's Tokaji for you, absolutely. It's interesting that you say that. For me, I know what you mean now that you said it. Placebo, a little bit maybe. I'm getting almost like Milky Bar buttons. That white chocolate sweetness on the forefront of it is really, really wonderful. Yeah. And then the peat then starts taking over. But I know what you mean now that you say, I don't know if it's a placebo or you are right. I mean, Tokaji it's noble rot, right? You know, it's definitely that sort of a note. But it's such a wonderful, diverse dram and so multifaceted There is a lot going on in your glass here. And sorry, 60.7%. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
6.7.
Just, it doesn't feel like
No
that.
way.
Wow. It's phenomenal. It really, really works at this strength. And again, probably we'll come on to the cleric now in a moment. A really good
I feel
indication.
like all Lagg drinks really well at high ABV.
High strengths.
I don't know if that's just because I've been here and that's all that we have,
Aye.
or if it just is in the case that it just.
I think it is just the
always
case.
really well
This is
integrated.
the thing. I think your cleric is a great indication as to how well it works at that high strength, at that young age. And yeah, like I say, the multitude of casks it works in.
So I'm very happy you picked this as your first small batch at Lagg. Why Tokaji first? I mean, what a banger.
Well, we wanted to go. I had a few ideas where to go first. There was another idea I've got, which I'll keep in the wines. It'll be the second one. But I spoke to Ewan about it, and one of the reasons we actually wanted to go out with such a large celebration was because we're launching this first one as almost like a distillery award version. Because last year we actually won Distillery of the Year. Lagg Distillery was, I couldn't believe it. I was at the Scottish Whisky Awards, I believe it was called, the title of it.
Distillery of the
Yeah, Scottish, aye. And we won Distillery of the Year for that, and it was an incredible competition. We were up against I think it was Arbiki and Glenmorangie, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah,
I didn't.
so I was sitting in a kilt with a couple of people, and we thought, well, we got dinner out of this.
Yeah. We got nominated.
We got nominated. It was lovely. So meeting and greeting, and came to the final one, and the one that there's a video of me just looking stunned for 5 seconds.
I don't think we'd expected it. We might
Does that
have
say
bought a
Lagg?
photo.
Did they say my name? They say us. Come on, ready to get up there. Jeez. We couldn't believe it. No, we
We would have bought a full table, I think. if
we would have brought more people if we thought we actually had a chance.
They were there. I was at home texting the marketing manager, Heather, like getting a live by live update of what was going on from Miller, our assistant manager, which is texting us, and it was really weird.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Congratulations, gents. I have to say, it's so well deserved, and it's so great to see a young distillery shining through. And I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised at all. I'm glad that you were surprised. I think that's, it shows that you guys are just head down, focused on putting out quality stuff. And the awards will start coming, I think, thick and fast moving forward from here. Because like I say, I can only see this getting better as it grows. The fact that it shines so well as such a young whiskey, though. I mean, you were saying this Tokaji.
This Tokaji is a celebration of that. So the packaging is, we're going to have the awards ceremony, the awards show kind of labeling on it to show that it is. It's going to have a nice wee sticker on it. It's the Distillery of the Year 2023, from the Scottish Whisky Awards, and it's going to have all that on it. And with that, we kind of thought we were going to do something a bit bombastic, something a bit exotic to go with that. Can't just have as much as I like a bourbon, as much as I like a sherry or I found a banging of a second full bourbon. I was really wanting to show people. I was like, Graham, hold that in the wing for this. Although it's lovely, it just doesn't jump off the shelf as much as that Tokaji. So I yielded, and I thought, you know what, let's go for it. And I was so glad because it's won me over so much, these Tokajis. I absolutely adore them.
It is. It's really, really unique. Like we say, something that you don't see very often, and really great to showcase the synergy between different industries. This is all the way from Hungary to the Isle of Arran. I mean, wow, it's amazing how different parts of the world producing such different liquids just harmonize in such a wonderful way. And I think that this is, I don't want to ruin anything there. This is my favorite thus far. Those core range expressions, that's something that you can pick up on your shelves or in your bar pretty much anywhere. Phenomenal. Really, really impressive. And, we're talking 3-4 years old, blows you away. This is something in its own league. I think the fact that you're going to sort of talk about the awards and all of that, it really showcases why you deserve that award. So yeah, no, fair.
I think the sweet wine just go really well with Lagg, because Sultan, we've done a few Sultans, and they're some of my favourite casks that we've done so far.
Do you notice, can you pick out different bourbon barrels when you look at batches? Are there distinct differences between different American distilleries of the bourbon? Because I know there's lots of different variants of sherry on there, but can you say that's a Corval bourbon, or that's a Jim Beam? Is it easy to do that, or is it a bit more subtle with the bourbons?
Far more subtle. The only one I'd probably be able to pick out compared to others would be Buffalo Trace, because we had so many of them. But yours the Buffalo Trace, but we didn't use very many Buffalo Traces after the Lagg Cask Society. We kind of hoarded them just for that society, so that all 700 casks would have the same bourbon notes. So people would be infighting, he gets a Heaven Hill, he gets a Wild Turkey, can we swap? I say, no. So we made sure everyone got those Buffalo Trace. But because that, it's kind of like a distinction then, I would be quite interested to try bourbons from about that age that were maybe from one of our other coopers in America, that we get kind of mixed bags.
Yeah.
Like a lot of coopers will just, very few coopers will actually send you one variety of bourbon barrel. You'll open it, it's like a pick and mix. You'll find 5 Heaven Hills, you'll find 25 Jack Daniels, and you'll find about 70 Beam Suntory, Jim Beam ones.
And are you allowed to reference the bourbon barrel in the finally released whiskey? Or are they quite strict about that? Do they
Quite
say?
strict about it. It's not something that we do. I will verbally tell people, but particularly if they're a single cask owner, because they can see it. So quite often the stamp's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice thing, you don't get rid of that. But I think there's quite a restriction on what you can advertise. I mean, believe it or not, there is actually a heavy restriction on sherry. There's a, I didn't even know it existed. I heard of it. There's this body called the Sherry Council. The Council of Sherry or something like that.
Council of Sherry.
It sounds so dramatic.
Table.
Yeah.
It sounds so dramatic, and I thought it was kind of a half a joke at first. I said, no, you need to register with them. I was like, okay, so we had to register Lagg with this council in order to be able to say that is Oloroso on the bottle. That's the only way you can do it. Yeah, that's a lot of people don't know that.
There are also much more differences than different sherry types than bourbon types. I think if you could do that and you could pick out your bourbon manufacturer, you'd be in Richard Patterson's job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, but no. You have to have a really good nose for that, I think.
And the magic skill you get when you download the DLC, you've been playing for 200 plus hours, you're like a wizard.
Surrounded by whiskey all over the floor.
Whiskey, yeah.
Have you told them about the names, Graham, on your tour?
Oh, of
everything. Yeah.
No, I don't think I actually got into that point. Yeah, the names which are impossible for some people to pronounce.
Do you guys know what lag means?
Please.
No.
Enlighten us.
So lag means hollow. So it's Gaelic for a hollow. So the actual village of Lagg is just up that way there. Don't know if you drove through that one or not. I'd recommend doing it if you can, but you go all the way down into a big dip. You've got Lagg Hotel, and that's where the original Lagg Distillery was, just other side of the Bun. And you go up into Kilmorey itself.
Right.
Obviously, Kilmorey is our first whiskey. So it's named after the village and parish that we're in. Most of the staff, including myself, live in Kilmorey. And then Corrie Cravey is a village on the other side of that hill there. And that's where I grew up, actually.
Fantastic.
So both of them are named after
We're sandwiched between the two, so to speak. So you've got Corrie Cravey over there, Kilmorey over there. And we're really looking for, the names are so lilting and beautiful. You don't want to just change anything. I think we're going to have a whole series where we're going to have all these complicated Gaelic and...
It's just great to have place names, I think, because it really is part of the South End community. Most of the staff, apart from you, Graham, do live in this bit of the island. We are bringing whiskey back to a really historic element. So having them named after places, half the staff live in Kilmorey. I think it's a really cool thing to have a whiskey named after where
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
You seen it took a dirty outsider to get it going?
Yeah, he's brought it. No,
Your words now, Graham, your words.
Island's fine, but Broderick.
Yeah, we didn't come through Lagg on the way here, and we were expertly driven over the Ross Road.
Okay.
God, what a drive. It's
Beautiful,
outstandingly beautiful. We were stuck behind a JCB for like 30 seconds,
could enjoy
2
it.
miles, and we were like, we can see everything. And then it let us pass, and like, our jaws was up. And it never loses that beauty. It's like, what a way to get to the distillery.
And how different is this from Lacranza, from the North End? Like, geographically speaking, it is so different.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's what's so wonderful, like you say, talking about the names, talking about it. It's very much both through the branding, now that I know, but also through the whiskey. It's all about the terrain. You feel the place, the setting when you're drinking it. And it's one of these whiskeys now. There's not many whiskeys that do it for me. But I know I'm going to bring a bottle or two of Lagg home with me. And when I shut my eyes, luckily I can see the Isle of Arran from my living room now at the moment. But when I shut my eyes, I'll be able to think of exactly where we are, looking out onto the,
Well, that whiskey for me is always a representation of place. And especially in the new make, I try this. It reminds me of South End farms. It is the agricultural landscape, the hills, the fields that we're from. This just is, I think, the South End of Arran distilled into spirit.
I think that's a great little segue.
Into it.
Yeah, well done, absolutely. Well, have you done this before? You've been podcasting before, have you, Fred? Let's get a bit of the new make into the glass. I'm very excited about this. And again, guys, everyone at home, this is something that I've been buzzing to do. because I can say with complete sincerity, 100% genuine, this is some of the best, if not the best. We will do an episode on it at some point soon. If you'd like to see that, drop in the comments, new make whiskey, and we will absolutely get onto that for you. But this is very, very exciting for me because it's been a minute since I've tried the new make, but I remember it just being absolutely stunning.
Teeny bit.
I'm driving.
So I don't know what Graham's told you guys about the history of distilling in the South End.
Thank you.
So back in the day, so the original Lagg Distillery and all the smuggling that happened here, and there's a lot of smuggling, they would call the spirit Arran water.
Okay.
So that's what they called it. And I think back in the 19th century, Arran had a real reputation as having the highest quality of spirit. That kind of died because legal distillation just never happened in this island. It died very quickly compared to Campbelltown and Islay. So there was a whole history that kind of died until we brought Lagrange back in 95.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say we make our whiskey anyway like the way they did, because we don't know how they made it, but they had a high quality of spirit and we have a high quality of spirit. So maybe there is something in the landscape of the people. Maybe that's romantic bullshit. I don't know. But maybe there is just something in Arran that just helps make us such good spirit. But I don't know.
Quick question now. Is this casking straight? This is 63.5?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Really, really interesting stuff. I mean,
Is this unusual for distilleries to release from when they opened claret and keep it on sale?
I think cleric is becoming more and more popular.
A lot of the new
nowadays.
ones do it.
Again, unfortunately, I think a lot of them do it just purely for the sake of it, and a lot of the time it's not really good. I can say, again, completely sincerely,
So I know
it's really, really yummy.
this is on a flight in Port of Leaf Distillery. They have a new make flight and we've got a new make on it.
Yes. Someone from Port of Leaf came by
Yeah.
to spy, tried it.
I mean, like,
Absolutely
yeah,
not.
buy some of that. Yeah. So go try it there as well.
I remember my funny story with this is when this first came out, I bought some and it was right at the tail end of when I was still working in London. I commuted on the train 100 miles down each day and 100 miles back. I finished work about 5. I got on the train and I'd have a cider or beer on the train to go back. I started pouring this out. I'm like, no, this is too strong for a train sipper.
That's quite hardcore for a train. Yeah.
Whereas in this setting, nosing it, it's gorgeous.
And it does just really stand up on its own. You could just sit and drink this, like as it is, I think.
I'm getting
It's a
way
great
more
drink.
notes of the barley in this, which is quite nice to be reminded of what the constituent parts are of the spirit.
Yeah,
Because
it's interesting you say that. For me, it's the barley, yes, but it's the sweetness of the barley, but it's also the depth and earthiness of the turf. Do you know what I mean? It's really, really wonderful. And it's different components that make it really shine through. Absolutely. But again, the texture, it's just phenomenal. Really, really interesting.
So when you first started sipping this, you're like, okay, we know a middle cut is fine.
That's exactly what it was. It took about 2 weeks to get to that point, as I said, and it was. I mean, I made the same whiskey for about 8-9 years in Lagrange, so I didn't think I was correct for the job. So that's why I leaned heavily on James, and I just knew, man of his stature, a man of his knowledge. He doesn't even drink, James. He's teetotal, but he knows a good whiskey. That's supposed to be one of the things. He never drunk. He never really drunk at home, but he drunk professionally for work. He knew what to look for. So I say he didn't enjoy it, but he just knew what made a good whiskey. And if I could get that from him, that was it. And that's what I got with this. I said, yes, capture it. That's what I wanted.
Absolutely.
And you're going to keep this in the shop? Is this going to stay for a bit longer?
I don't know. We talked about it quite recently, didn't we?
In total, we've sent away about 2,000 litres of it to be bottled, roughly. And we still got plenty of it in stock. So I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. But it's one of those things. I mean, if there's a real hunger for it, a real thirst for it, then we'll probably consider keep using it. But otherwise, it's one of those things where if there's still some on the shelf in 3-4 years' time, is it really selling that well? Is it better to maybe use that spirit for casking? It's part of history.
We'll always have some on the counter.
We're always going to
people
have some
who want to come and ask for it.
It will never really be gone. There'll always be plenty more. There's a lot of spirit we sent away for it. Think about it. There's only small bottles.
The joke we had at Lagrange yesterday on the tour was that they saw what you were doing here with it, and they're like, "Well, we just can't afford to put any of our claret into bottles. It all has to go into casks because it's so much of a churn." I guess because you've been around for 5 years now, but because you're starting out, it's great to this is like the trailer to the main feature, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you put it in your hands?
Oh,
You stick some in your hands.
Rub it around.
Yeah,
That's the meat, that one.
that's for me when it becomes really, really, really agricultural. You get all that lovely barley goodness. I was at a farm today, so yeah.
How were the pigs today?
My pigs are lovely.
I love
The alpacas as well. Didn't spit on me, so I'm good.
Delicious. That smells really good. Yeah.
Talking about that farm, another segue. We've also got this. So this here is a little bit of local Arran barley.
Fantastic.
You make
At 90
ppm.
This is
Yeah.
phenomenal.
So this comes from a field just below us. Our farm's called Bellevue Farm. Fantastic farm. But do you want to talk about why it's 90 ppm, Graham?
Well, why 80 ppm? I remember what happened when we sent away on the Arran barley to be malted. And Lochranza had been doing it for quite a while, quite a number of years. Lochranza had been getting local Arran barley sent to the mainland for malting. And back in, I think it was 2020, we had our very first kind of version of it, or 2021. Yes.
There was a 63.5 one.
Yeah,
try a
yeah,
little
we're
bit.
gonna
Try a little bit of that one. Same thing.
That's 72, that one we
This is off the stone. Yeah.
That's
Try a
straight
bit of that.
out of the safe, that one
Yeah,
was.
it smells good. I definitely try a bit of that.
So they blended it wrong by accident.
Sure.
They were supposed to give me 2 lots of 50 ppm, and they said, "Oh, what we've done is we've doubled it up, and we're going to mix in some peat-free barley into it." I was like, "Well, what's it at? Oh, it's at 90. Oh, wait a minute. You got 90 ppm Arran barley sitting in a silo somewhere." I says, "Yeah, send it here."
Aye.
It's like, "Don't blend it down." It's like, "Well, we're going to have to surcharge you for it. You're going to have to add to it." It's like, "I don't give a crap. Send it here now."
Yeah,
And
definitely.
he got it, and it was such a treat. I was so
It's-
happy to get it. It was almost like an accident made by the maltsters, but because it was so popular and so successful, it's something we're trying to keep going as much as we can. And it's actually quite asking a maltster to create 90 or 100 ppm. They kind of raise their eyebrow and go, it's very hard. It's very unusual for them. Not many people actually ask for something that big. I know there's Tokaji and the Octavore, which is 5 million these days. But asking for something above standard 50 is hard for a lot of maltsters.
There's a distinct difference between the two.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Tokajis are really good, but up until last week and the first time I tried this is my favourite thing I've ever had at Lagg. Yeah, 90 ppm new make, local barley.
And sorry, so when did that go into barrel?
2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years
It's
ago.
not 3 years yet. Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. And you're right, they're so vastly different as new makes. I'm very interested to see how that grows and matures in cask. But what's so wonderful about that there is, again, these happy mistakes, these happy accidents that you just jump on. And now that it's a rolling, it just shows the experimental side of what you're doing here. And it must be really nice for you, Graham, to be part of what's ultimately, I mean, if you look at whiskey as a whole, some of the big conglomerates that own a multitude of distilleries, and for the distillery managers there's probably not a lot of creative input. You must really enjoy the ability to have a certain amount of say. I mean, I'm sure you're very well listened to now, especially you've got a wealth of knowledge in your hands. You must have a good bit of input on what you're doing here.
I do, yes. There's a lot of the individual releases. There's a lot of strengths and a lot of what's said in casks. Quite often it's just a case of like, Graham, we need a release by this date. What have you got?
Yeah.
Like, oh well, just kind of sit at my desk and tap and go, does this sound good? I'll have a look, and no, not good. Come back to it later. I'm finding that I'm doing a lot of fact finding now, because we have years of this spirit cast away, and we've kind of not been touched it because we've just been growing and just starting out. Now we got to the state, we got to this age now where it's like I can actually start looking into all these things I've put away and start picking out and labeling and numbering. Because I feel like I have a numbering system in my head where from 1 to 10, if it's good or bad, and filed away for later, Shupo now, and it doesn't feel like a lot for me, but I'm sure as I'm explaining it to you, that sounds fascinating. But it's just how else we're going to do it. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and sometimes I wonder, like, should I be mad and do this, or should I ask other people what to do? And that's when I actually lean on not just Fred, but the people at work here, because I take in everyone's opinion very highly. Sometimes I come down with all these random bottles.
That's the
and
best.
just start rubbing their hands. What have you got for us, Graham? It's like, oh, I'm just. So I may have one in my head that I like, and I just want to see what everyone else thinks.
Aye.
Oftentimes those marry up, which I'm very grateful for, because I don't want to be the one, oh, that's one was terrible. I was on the pick.
I'm usually the odd one out.
Yeah. Come on.
I like
you like your funk.
I like a funky whiskey.
No, it's wonderful to see, and that's exactly it. I think that's what makes Lagg. And again, going back to the island as a whole, there is such a sense of community here. It's wonderful to hear that the way you're making your whiskey is very community driven. It's all about the people that are working here. It's not just one person deciding or one conglomerate saying this is what we need, but let's open it up to everybody. Now, listen, gents, I want to sit here and talk to you for the rest of the afternoon, but I'm conscious that, we want to give it a bit of a wrap up probably. So the way we always finish this off is a buy, a don't buy, a bin it, or an oosh. So we're going to run through the jams if you don't mind. Now, with you two gents, you work here, maybe a little bit biased for the people at home. So what I'll ask you at the end is what your favorite whiskey is and why. So I'll give you a moment to think about that. Can we start with the Kilmorey? What price tag are we at on that?
That's
45?
It's 45,
It's a bit more than that.
I think it's just 45.
Just over 45.
Yeah.
All right, so 45, maybe up to £50, depending on your retailer at home. Jack, I'm going to come to you first. Is that a buy, a don't buy? Where are you at on that?
It's an obvious buy, and I have bought about 3 of these since it's come out. I go back to this one for a reason, and I'll probably be going down to the shop after this.
Picking up a fresh bottle.
Picking up a fresh bottle to take back. Yeah, it's a definite buy. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes in the future. But right now, as I've said, at 3 or 4 years old, it sings.
Couldn't agree more. Very, very strong buy. And Fred, remind me, what was the cocktail you were making with that?
Whiskey sour.
A whiskey sour.
Or a highball. It's a classic.
I'm going to try the whiskey sour. It sounds very, very appealing. Yeah, no, my ears pricked up as soon as you said that. Strong buy on that one for £50. This is such high quality whiskey. 46%. It just shines through. It's such a wonderful mouth coating sort of great display of the distillate work. So really, really enjoyed that one. The Corrie Cravey is the sherry finish edition of that. What are we at price-wise on that?
Just under 60.
Under £60. Okay. So give or take £60, Jack. Where are you at on that one, sir?
I suddenly feel a bit of pressure. I've just suddenly become conscious we've got the distillery manager and the brand home man.
You have to be honest, Jack. You have to be brutal.
It wasn't like this when we were in the Airbnb.
Yeah.
I really like it. I am more of a bourbon fan than a sherry fan. So I'll wear that badge and I'll be like, I'm pleased I've tried it. I bought a bottle. I'll try other single cask sherries and other sherry expressions, but I'm always going to lean in to the bourbon.
Not one that you'd buy again in too much of a rush, but you'll probably look at older expressions sherry coming
Absolutely,
out.
yeah.
Jump on them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Very honest. I like it. Good man yourself. For me, I'm a sherry head like yourself, Graham. It's an absolute buy for me. It's actually verging on an oosh. I think for me, where it's going to reach that point is in the next couple of years, maybe for slightly longer finishing periods. Is that something that you're toying around with as well?
Yes, we've experimented with a slightly shorter one, and we'll have experiment with a slightly longer one probably soon too. Also, the fact is the Corrie Cravey doesn't have an age statement, but it will expand in age over the years. So right now it's like 3 to 4 years. Eventually it's going to be Corrie Cravey, so it'll potentially be 5-6 years old.
Fantastic.
So that's really going to. I mean, it's not a batch as a core, but we're treating it like a batch. It's going to evolve as it goes, because we can't exactly keep taking from 2019 stock. There'll be nothing left in a few years' time. We've got to ring fence that, and it'll evolve to maybe 2020 onwards, and then take some more in 2021. There will be a sweet spot for the Corrie Cravey. We'll probably reach there about maybe 5 or 6 years old. I think you were saying you're looking forward to 6, 7.
6, 7, that's what I've got my hands over for. And I think, again, for everyone at home, I mean, it is stunning at the minute. I'm giving it serious strong buys. I'm going to keep my eyes open because I think that's going to be a oosh in not too long at all.
Can you imagine sitting in front of like Denis Villeneuve and someone says, do you want to go see Dune 2? What did you think of Sicario? And you have to say right in front of them.
I know, right?
Yeah, anyway, sorry.
So moving forward then, we had the Lagg Distillery exclusive. Now that's Tokaji. What are we at with that one? No, it's not released yet.
No, it's not released. There's not even a price point for it because the batch release for it doesn't technically exist. It only existed in a label form, I think, this morning, the first point.
Okay, cool. We're catching you very early then.
But from what I've been told, the price point of it will probably be slightly more than the Corrie Cravey, probably looking to be £70-75. That's not confirmed though, but it will be a very limited release of only about 600 bottles, and only here.
Jack, give or take £75?
OOOSHH! Exclamation mark. Is that right?
I'm with you there, my guy. 100%. Even if it's more than 70, I mean, I think that's well worth it at £75. That is a phenomenal dram. I've still got a little bit here. I kept going back to that one. I've tried to stretch it out. Really, really delicious whiskey. Great to see such diverse cask maturation, different types of casks coming through. And again, 60.7%. It's just singing from the glass. I love that there's such a diverse sort of number of ABVs here. It's all different and it's all working so perfectly with what you've chosen. It just shows the craftsmanship and the decision making that goes into this is all for the right reasons. I loved it. Really, really cool. And then finally moving on to the new make. Now, how much is a new make bottle here?
It is £20.
Yeah, we're not. It's £50 with.
Yeah, like 18 or something. It's under that.
It's not that expensive. It's not really that expensive. I mean, we're pretty much.
I need to spend more time
for it.
Right. I need to spend more time in the shop, I think.
Yeah.
Look at prices again.
£18-20 for a 20 centilitre bottle. I mean, it's really interesting to see Cleric on the shelves that actually works as a spirit of its own right. Jack, is that something that you're interested in?
Yeah, it's a definite buy. I've bought 3 or 4 over the last couple of years. I just find it really interesting, and it is a very good access point to get people into Lagg. Or it was even better before there was actual whiskey, but now you can start with this and move on to these. They can see the progression of time on the spirit and the effect of the cask. Like, yeah, it's brilliant. And you're not committing to like two litres of the stuff, are you? It's just a dinky little bottle to kind of share around. You could make a cocktail with it if you want.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Smoky Coke.
Oh, is that it?
Right. And I know people put it in their coffee. Apparently, it's a very nice Irish Scottish coffee.
It's a good way to get your day going. Fair enough.
We made ice cream with it once, many years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We had to get special gelatin in from Italy because obviously alcohol strength.
For sure.
But yeah, you
That's
make
amazing.
ice cream.
I remember that. I missed
Long,
it.
long time ago.
Oh,
But, yeah.
man.
I love it.
Pining for it again now. We'll never get it back.
What I love about this, and going back to what you said earlier, Fred, is like, you've been here since the beginning. You get to see it grow. And I think that's what's so wonderful about good quality Cleric, is you get to see the whiskey before it's even legally whiskey, before it's had any cask influence, before it's been touched. It's straight off the stills. I'd be really interested to try it at the 68%, but that's just because I'm a bit of a weirdo, a real whiskey fiend. But I love it, and it's a very strong buy again. I couldn't agree more. I'm not surprised you bought a few bottles of it. There's definitely one that we're going to be featuring in our Cleric episode. Stay tuned for that one. And that was it. That was it. That was all of them. That was a wonderful little roundup. Now, gents, I said at the beginning there, we're going to ask you your favorites. Give us your favorite. Graham first. What's your favorite and why?
This feels so base. This feels so biased. Okay. I've always been a sherry fiend. So before today, I would have probably picked the Corrie Cravey. I have nothing but love for the Kilmorey and the new make spirit. As you said, it's one of the most palatable new make spirits Cleric I've ever had in my life. I will actually, it's one of the few ones I'll actually sit home and drink in a glass. But I've got to go right away for the Corrie Cravey. Absolutely love it. Sherry bomb, sherry fiend. But from today onwards, and for a very limited time, it will be the Tokaji.
Yeah,
That's my baby right now. Corrie Cravey, step aside for just for a few months. You'll be back there eventually.
You better make the most of it whilst it lasts. Absolutely. You're probably going to be crying as you see those bottles walking out the door. Fair enough. And Fred, yourself?
I'm the opposite. You know, once I'm going to get a bottle of it, I might steal some of that sample, take it home and sit with it. I might change my mind.
Okay.
But it is Corrie Cravey. It is the village that I grew up in.
Aye.
It's my home. I'm a sherry fiend. It's just, everything about that whiskey. It's great old fashioned. I just love it. It is my go-to whiskey. Genuinely, because I work here, it genuinely is my go-to whiskey.
Fantastic.
These days. I love it.
Really, really lovely to hear that. And again, it just shows the quality once you've got the people working here who are genuinely going back time and time again to the stocks that you're making. It just shines through. Wonderful little roundup. Now, guys, before we finish it, a quick question, and something I'm sure everyone at home is wondering, because you are such a young distillery, you've got a whole road ahead of fascinating bits and pieces. What's next for Lagg Distillery? Is there anything really, other than the Tokaji, which, guys, stay tuned for, and if you're ever over on Lagg, you need to buy a bottle of this in the next sort of few months or so. But what's next? Is there anything coming up? Is there anything interesting that we can look forward to?
Well, very early days, but we're looking to experiment with some rather unusual malts this year.
Okay.
I'm in the early stages of that. We've managed to secure about 50 odd tons of Chevalier, it's pronounced. How it's pronounced? Yeah, which was in the old IPA malt from the Victorian era.
Right.
It's obviously a makeup of what would have been that malt, and the maltsters were working with us. They're very excited because it's always just going into mostly only going into beer. They're very excited for it to be a distillery. I think to be an actual spirit, and they're saying that they're going to get their team up and they're going to do a lot of PR of it. I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in making a really unusual, funky whiskey with this stuff because I just love the idea of like something that could have been shipped in a cask for beer all the way to India back in the 1800s. And we're going to put some of that through our still house. I'm really looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Yeah. More experimentation. I love it. The passion comes through talking to you, Graham. It's really, really great. Well, listen, guys. Loads of interesting stuff coming out of here at Lagg already, but great things to come. Thank you all. Jack, the whiskey geek, the Arran geek of all. It's been great to have you here, at least holding my hand through all of this, making sure that I get it right. But Graham and Fred, it's really, really been such a pleasure. Thank you for showing us around your lovely distillery, but also sharing beautiful drams with us here. Everyone at home, please do comment if you've been to Lagg, what your favorite dram is. Let us know. And if you haven't tried it, get over here to Arran. Make sure you give it a go. And we will see you next time here on Uncut and Unfiltered. Gents, Sancho.
Thank you.